I think we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ODI. Thank you so much for joining us for this, what I think will be a very exciting event, the London launch of the Data Revolution report. A bit of housekeeping to start with, as I'm sure everyone in this room is aware, but some of the many people who are following this online may be less aware. It's the 11th of November today, and it's the British tradition at the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month to mark the end of the First World War by respecting a 2-minute silence. And it's particularly poignant this year because, as I'm sure everybody knows, it's the 100th anniversary of the beginning of the First World War. So we'll be waved at when it's 11 o'clock. So whoever's speaking, if you wouldn't mind stopping, and we'll be silent for 2 minutes, and then we'll resume the conversation after that. My name is Elizabeth Stuart. I'm a research fellow here at ODI, and I'm the team leader post-2015 within the Growth, Poverty and Inequality programme. As I say, I'm delighted to welcome you here today. This is the launch of the Independent Expert Advisory Group on the Data Revolution for Sustainable Development, and the report is called A World That Counts. It's a quite long name for an extremely important group, which has done something no less than come up with the manifesto for a revolution. And I think it's a revolution in some ways analogous to the Industrial Revolution that took place in Britain, in that it's got technical implications, but it's also got very deep political and social implications. Technical because to be able to get the kind of data we need to be able to know how many children are dying, how many children are going to school, how many teenage girls are pregnant, what's the disease prevalence in certain countries, how polluted our water is. We need data that's accurate, that's timely, that's comparable, and that's collected year after year after year, and that's a big technical challenge. But it's social and political as well, because for people to be able to trust this data, that entails a shift in people's thinking. And the political element of it, I think, comes in that there are fears around this data could be used for the good, but it could also be used for the ill, to increase inequalities, to enhance the difference between people who don't have access to this data and people who do, and also to increase the difference between those who are counted and those who remain uncounted. So those are some of the challenges which the report is going to look at. It's a vanguardist report, the rallying cry for the revolution. So let me introduce our panel. So to my right is Claire Melamed, who's the lead author of the report. The report was launched formally launched in the US last week, but this is the London launch. Claire, in her day job, is director of the Growth, Poverty and Inequality programme here at ODI. She's also an expert in measurement of poverty, and she's been co-lead of the My World survey with UNDP. To her right is Robert Kirkpatrick, who is director of the UN Global Pulse, which was an initiative set up by the Secretary General to look at how do we harness big data to increase resilience and to give us more information about development issues. He was also co-founder of Microsoft Humanitarian Systems. And to my left, pleased to introduce Neil Jackson, who is chief statistician at DFID, and he oversees the work of 50 statisticians, both in the UK and based out in the field, and he's chair of the Paris 21 Executive Committee as well. So how this morning is going to work, Claire is going to make a presentation. First Robert, then Neil will respond and discuss their views of the report, and then we'll open it up for questions. Claire.
Okay.